Welcome back to Excel 2010 for Beginners, brought to you by ExcelLearningZone.com. This is lesson 1 of 12, but if you landed on this lesson first, you missed the introduction. Click on the link above in the video window to jump back to the beginning. For more information on our Excel tutorials, remember to visit 599cd.com/XYT2010. In lesson 1, we'll begin by learning about the Excel interface. You learn how to start Excel. You learn about the title bar, the window controls, and the File tab. Let's begin by starting Microsoft Excel. I'm using Windows Vista, but the procedure is the same regardless of what version of Windows you're running. I'll click on my Start button. Now you might see Microsoft Excel right here on the Start menu if you've used it recently. If not, come down and click on All Programs. Then find your Microsoft Office folder. I'll scroll down. There's Microsoft Office. Open that up. Now I have both Microsoft Office 2007 and 2010 on this computer because I still teach classes in both. But I want to find Microsoft Excel 2010. So I will scroll up the list here until I find Microsoft Excel 2010 and then click on that to launch it. And now after a few seconds, Microsoft Excel starts up. If you need more help navigating the Windows Start menu, I cover that in my Windows Basics class. Now at first glance, Excel looks kind of scary. There's a lot of stuff on the screen. There are a ton of buttons and menu options and other settings that you can change. Don't be intimidated. We're going to cover the stuff that you need to know to use Excel in today's class. Once you get the hang of it, it really is quite easy to use. Now before we start actually using Excel, let's take a few minutes to go over the parts of the Excel interface so you know what you're looking at on the screen. Now the first thing I want to mention is that the menus that you see on your screen might be slightly different than what you see on my screen. Now that's primarily because this big menuing system that you see right here called the ribbon is dynamic, and it will change based on the size of your screen. Now I've made my copy of Excel small to fit inside my video recording window. So as you'll see, some of my menu groups, like styles and cells here, are compressed down. If I grab the edge of the window here, for example, and resize it to make it smaller, you can see that the ribbon changes accordingly. Likewise, if I make the window larger, you can see the buttons in the ribbon expand, so you can see more information on the screen at once. That's because the ribbon is dynamic, and it will change based on the size of your Excel window. Now, don't worry about what all these different buttons do right now. I just want to make you aware that what you see in the video might not look exactly like your copy of Excel. That's okay. You should be able to find everything just fine. Now let's talk about the different parts of the Excel interface. Across the very top of the window, you'll see the title bar. Mine says Book 1 Microsoft Excel. It's called the title bar because that's the title of the current program, Microsoft Excel. Book 1 is the name of the current workbook that we're using. Later on, when we learn how to save our workbook files, the name of your workbook will go across the top here. In the upper right corner of the window, you'll see the window control buttons: Minimize, Maximize, and Close. Now in Excel, unlike Microsoft Word, you'll see two sets of Minimize, Maximize, and Close buttons. The top set of buttons are for Excel as a program. The bottom set of buttons are for the workbook inside of Excel. We'll talk more about this when we learn how to work with different workbooks. But for now, we're pretty much going to stick with the top set. The Close button will close Excel down. The Maximize button will make Excel fill the entire screen. And the Minimize button will move Excel down to your taskbar to get it out of the way for other programs. I cover using the Maximize, Minimize, and Close buttons in my Windows Basics course. The Minimize button, for example, will send Excel down to your taskbar. And now you can see Excel's right down here on the taskbar. To restore it to a normal size window, click on it again. That'll open it back up. If you want Excel to fill the entire screen, click on the Maximize button. Now Excel fills my entire screen, and you can't see the whole thing because it's larger than the video window. But notice how the ribbon is now fully expanded. To restore Excel back down to a normal sized window, notice how the Maximize button has changed to the Restore Down button. Click on that, and that restores Excel to a normal sized window. In the upper left corner, we have the new File tab. The File tab is where you're going to go to save your workbook, load up different workbooks, print your workbook, and access different Excel options. We'll see how some of these things work a little later on. For those of you who might have used Excel 2007, you might remember the big round Office button. Well, Microsoft replaced that in 2010 with the File tab. When you click on the File tab, it opens up this thing called the Microsoft Backstage view. And again, you can access certain features like saving your file, opening a file, accessing recently used workbooks, and so on. This is the end of Lesson 1. You can click on the link above in the video window to jump to Lesson 2. Also, don't forget to subscribe and get notified when I release new free video tutorials.